The morning arrives slowly, not with noise, not with excitement, just with cold. It is a winter morning in Victorian England. The kind of cold that does not rush. It stays. It sits in the air. It rests on the streets and refuses to leave. Snow covers the ground like a thin, quiet blanket. Not deep, not dramatic, just enough to soften every sound. The streets are still asleep. Horse carts are not moving yet. Shops are closed. Doors stay shut. Windows are dark, except for one or two where a lamp still glows, tired and yellow. The snow makes the city feel smaller, softer, as if the whole world has decided to whisper today. The sky is gray, not the angry gray of a storm, just a calm, dull gray. The sun is awake somewhere behind the clouds, but it is in no hurry. Victorian winters are like that. They do not rush. They do not care about plans. Houses line the street, tall and quiet. Brick walls hold the cold inside. Curtains hang heavy and still. Chimneys rise above the rooftops, waiting. No smoke yet. Fires have not been lit. The houses are holding their breath. Inside one of these houses, the day is about to begin. Not loudly, not proudly, just carefully. This is not a special day. No visitors are coming. No celebrations are planned. No secrets wait to be revealed. It is just a normal winter day. That is important because most days in the past were not exciting. They were slow, repetitive, ordinary. And for a servant in the Victorian era, ordinary was the rule. The house is large, bigger than it needs to be. High ceilings, long hallways, too many doors. Everything feels a little too serious. Even the furniture looks like it is judging you quietly. The floors are cold, very cold. They have been cold all night and see no reason to change now. The walls hold the chill like a memory. The windows leak just enough winter air to remind everyone that warmth is something you earn. Somewhere deep in the house, a clock ticks. It does not tick loudly. It ticks with confidence. It knows it is important. Time matters here. Especially to servants, the silence is not empty. It is full of small sounds. A faint creak of wood, the distant whistle of wind. Snow sliding slowly from a roof outside. These sounds do not interrupt the quiet. They belong to it. Morning in a Victorian house does not start with talking. It starts with waiting. Waiting for fires to be lit. Waiting for rooms to warm. Waiting for people upstairs to wake. The family who owns the house sleeps comfortably. Heavy blankets. Thick curtains. Feather pillows. They do not feel the cold the same way. Their rooms will be warm soon enough. They trust that this will happen. They do not ask how. That part belongs to someone else. Down below, or above, or somewhere out of sight. The servant's day begins before the day feels real, before the light improves, before the house feels alive. This early hour belongs to servants alone. A quiet time, a working silence. There is no alarm clock ringing, no gentle music, no choice. The body knows when to wake. Habit does that. Routine does that. After enough mornings, the cold itself becomes a signal. Outside, the snow remains untouched. No footprints yet. No cart tracks. The city looks clean, honest, like it has not made any mistakes today. That will change later. It always does. The air smells faintly of smoke from faraway chimneys. Someone else has already started. Somewhere, another servant is awake too, lighting fires, carrying coal. Moving quietly through a house that does not belong to them. Victorian mornings are shared in this way by people who never meet. All doing the same work, all moving through the same cold. There is something calm about it. Not happy, not sad, just calm. The cold keeps thoughts simple. You do not think about big dreams when your fingers are stiff. You think about warmth. You think about the next task. You think about doing things in the right order. This house expects that. The snow outside reflects the gray light into the windows. It brightens the rooms just a little, enough to see shapes, chairs, tables, long coats hanging silently on hooks. Nothing moves. Everything waits. The servant life does not begin with excitement. It begins with responsibility, with quiet steps, with careful hands, with knowing that noise is noticed and silence is rewarded. Some people imagine the past as loud, full of shouting and chaos. But mornings like this were quiet, very quiet. The kind of quiet that stretches. The kind that makes you walk slower without meaning to. The house seems bigger in the early morning. Hallways feel longer. Doors feel heavier. Even the stairs sound tired when stepped on. They creak softly like they are complaining, but only a little. Winter adds weight to everything. Clothes feel heavier. Air feels thicker. Time feels slower. Even the clock seems to tick more carefully, as if it does not want to disturb anyone. This is not a story about drama. This is not a story about change. This is not a story about rebellion or escape. This is a story about a day, a quiet one, a day where nothing important happens. And yet, everything that needs to happen does. The snow will melt later, or maybe it will not. Fires will burn. Meals will be served. Floors will be cleaned. Lamps will be lit, and no one will clap. No one will say thank you. That is normal right now, though. None of that has begun. Right now, the house is still. The city is still. The winter morning holds everything in place, like a pause, like a deep breath before a very long sentence. And somewhere within this quiet, a servant's day is about to start, slowly, carefully, without ceremony, just as it always does. The servant's room is not a room you would choose. It is a room you accept. It sits at the very top of the house, tucked under the roof, or sometimes down below near the kitchen, where warmth is never quite warm enough. This one is upstairs. Very upstairs. The kind of upstairs that makes your legs tired before the day even begins. The ceiling slopes inward like it is slowly leaning closer over the years. You learn which parts of the room you can stand in and which parts will remind you that your head exists. The ceiling always wins. The bed is narrow, not cozy, narrow. Just narrow, one pillow. Thin. It has done its job for many years and is not planning to retire. The mattress is firm in a way that feels intentional, like comfort was considered unnecessary. A blanket lies folded at the foot of the bed. It is wool. It scratches just a little, enough to keep you awake if you think about it too much. In winter, the blanket feels important, not comforting. Important, like a tool. The air is cold. It never really leaves. Even in summer, this room remembers winter. The window is small, with glass that does not fully trust its own job. A thin draft slides in quietly, like it has permission. Outside the window, the sky is pale gray. Snow rests on the roof tiles. It looks peaceful from here. From inside, it just looks cold. There is a chair in the corner. A simple wooden chair. It does not match anything because nothing matches anything. On the chair sits yesterday's clothes folded carefully. Not because they will look better that way, but because habit says they should be. Clothes are simple, dark, practical, easy to clean, easy to repair, easy to forget. They do not belong to fashion. They belong to work. A small wash basin rests on a stand near the wall. The water inside is cold. It will stay cold. There is no surprise waiting for you there. Winter water does not pretend. A bar of soap sits beside it. Plain. No smell worth mentioning. It does its job without comment, much like everything else in the room. There is no mirror. Or maybe there is a very small one, cracked slightly at the edge. It shows enough to tell you that you look awake. Or at least awake enough. The floorboards creak softly when you move. They always creak. You stop noticing after a while. Or maybe they stop caring. This room is not meant for rest. It is meant for sleep. There is a difference. Rest suggests comfort. Sleep here is more like a pause, a short break before the next day begins again. At night, the sounds of the house travel easily. Pipes click. Wood settles. Someone far below shuts a door. The house never fully sleeps. It just changes volume in winter. The cold wakes you before anything else does. Fingers feel stiff. To notice the air first. The blanket helps, but only so much. You do not linger. Lingering makes the cold feel personal. Getting out of bed is a decision you make quickly. If you think about it too long, you lose. The floor is waiting. It is colder than you expect every time. Shoes sit beside the bed. Worn. Reliable. They have seen many mornings like this. You slide your feet into them and feel slightly better. Slightly. There is no fire here. Fires are for rooms that matter. This room survives without one. You learn to dress quickly, efficiently. Like it is a small race you always win. The servant's room holds very little, but it holds routine. Every item has a place. Every movement has been practiced many times. You could dress in the dark if needed. Sometimes you almost do. There are no decorations, no pictures, no personal touches, not because they are forbidden, but because they feel unnecessary. You do not spend time here thinking. You sleep. You wake. You leave. The room smells faintly of wool, soap, and cold wood. It is not unpleasant, just honest. Sometimes, when the wind is strong, it whistles softly through the edges of the window. It sounds like the house sighing or complaining. Hard to tell from this small space. The rest of the house feels very far away. the grand rooms, the polished furniture, the warmth that will soon exist somewhere else. Up here, the world is simple. Wake up, get dressed, go down. The servant does not look out the window for long. The view does not change much. Snow. Roofs, gray sky. It will all be there later. The room does not ask you how you feel. It does not care if you are tired. It just exists. And in a way, that makes things easier. There is no pressure to be anything here. No one watches. No one expects smiles. No one gives orders. This is the only place in the house where the servant belongs fully, even if only for a short time. A deep breath fills the lungs with cold air. It wakes you better than any sound could. The day is waiting. The house will not run itself. That is unfortunate, but true. One last look around the room. Bed, chair, basin, window, everything is in place. It always is. The door opens quietly. It must always open quietly. Noise travels fast in a big house. Silence travels faster. As you step out, the room stays behind. Empty again. Waiting for night to return. Waiting to be useful once more. The servants' small sleeping quarters fade into the background, just as they are meant to. Forgotten until the end of the day. And with that, the servant begins to move toward the stairs, toward the cold halls, toward the work that defines the hours ahead. The room has done its job. It always does. Rising before the household is not something you question. You simply do it. The house is still asleep, and that is exactly how it should be. The people who live here expect to wake up to warmth, light, and quiet order. None of those things exist yet. That is your job. The hallway outside the servants' room is dim. Not dark, just undecided. A small window at the far end lets in weak winter light. It does not help much, but it tries. You appreciate the effort. Each step is careful. Floorboards remember sound. They store it. A careless step can travel far. You place your feet where you know the wood behaves itself. Experience teaches these things. The air in the hallway is cold, but less sharp than in your room. That feels like progress. You pull your clothes closer, even though they are already as close as they will go. Somewhere below, the house creaks softly, not in a scary way. More like a long stretch after sleep. Big houses stretch a lot. You begin to move downward one stair at a time. The staircase is wide and formal, even when no one is watching. The rail feels smooth under your hand, worn by many years of the same movement. Servants have walked these stairs for generations. You are simply the latest pair of feet. The main rooms are dark. Curtains are still drawn. Furniture waits quietly, polished and serious. Chairs stand where they were left last night, pretending they have never been sat on. The smell of cold air and old wood mixes with something faint. Coal dust, maybe. Or yesterday's fire. The house remembers things like that. The household sleeps above, wrapped in heavy blankets. They are dreaming, perhaps, or not. Either way, they are comfortable. Comfort is expensive. It requires work. You do not resent this. Resentment would take energy. Energy is better saved for lifting coal. The first task of the day waits patiently. Fires. They always come first in winter. Cold rooms are unacceptable by morning. The house has standards. You head toward the fireplace in one of the main rooms. The room is large, even empty. Your footsteps sound smaller here. The ceiling is high, and the silence feels taller than you are. The fireplace is dark. Ash sits quietly inside, left from the night before. You kneel and begin to clean it out. The motions are familiar. Scoop, lift, empty, repeat. There is comfort in knowing exactly what comes next. Coal waits nearby in a small bin. Black, dusty, and not at all romantic. You take a few pieces and arrange them carefully. Fire has rules. You follow them. Lighting the fire takes a moment. A spark, a breath, a bit of patience. Then a soft crackle. The sound is gentle, but it changes the room. Fire makes promises. You stand for a second longer than necessary, enjoying the warmth reaching your hands. Not too long lingering is noticeable. You move on, room by room. The process repeats. Clean, arrange. Light, warm slowly spreads through the house like a quiet visitor. By the time the family wakes, the cold will already be losing. Outside, the sky has brightened slightly. Still gray, but now a lighter gray. The snow reflects what little light there is. Morning is officially happening, whether anyone is ready or not. The kitchen is colder than expected. Kitchens often are. Stone floors do not forgive. You light the kitchen fire next. This one matters. Food will happen here. Eventually, pots hang quietly from hooks. They do not move unless asked. The table is bare, waiting for purpose. Everything is in place, but nothing has started. Water is poured. It splashes loudly in the silence. You wince slightly, then relax. No one heard. Probably. The house feels different now. Not awake, but no longer asleep, like someone sitting up in bed with their eyes still closed. Clocks tick louder as the morning grows. Time begins to behave seriously. You check it without thinking. You are on schedule. That matters. Rising before the household means you see the house in its most honest state. No performance, no guests, no pretending. Just walls, floors, and quiet expectations. You move faster now, but not noisier. Speed does not require sound. That is another lesson learned over time. Breakfast will come later. Trays will be carried. Doors will open. Voices will fill the rooms. But not yet. Right now, the servant owns the morning. There is a strange freedom in this hour. No one gives orders because no one is awake to give them. You already know what to do. The list lives in your hands. The smell of fire begins to mix with the cold air. It is a good smell, a useful smell. It means things are working. Somewhere upstairs, a floorboard creaks. Just once. Someone turned over in their sleep. The day is creeping closer to them. You pause for a brief moment, listening. Nothing else moves. Good. Rising before the household is not about pride. No one applauds it. It is about invisibility. Doing enough that no one notices you were ever there. That is success. You straighten a chair that does not need straightening. You wipe a surface that is already clean. These small actions fill time and prevent trouble. Untidiness invites questions. Winter mornings make time feel thick. Each minute passes slowly, but the hours disappear. You have already been awake for some time, though it does not feel like it. Your hands are warmer now. Your body has adjusted. The cold retreats slightly, annoyed but patient. It will return later. The house is nearly ready soon. The household will rise. Bells will ring. Doors will open. Requests will be made. But for now, the servant finishes the last quiet tasks. Another fire checked. Another door closed softly. Another glance at the clock. You breathe out slowly. The hardest part of the day is already done, and no one knows it. That is what it means to rise before the household. And as the gray light outside grows stronger, the servant steps into the next part of the day, leaving the quiet behind just in time for it to disappear. The first chores of the day do not wait. They are already waiting for you. Now that the fires are alive and the house is slowly warming, the real work begins. This is the part of the morning where everything feels the same every day. And that is exactly how the house likes it. Ash buckets sit patiently by the fireplaces. They are never empty. Ash has a talent for appearing again overnight, as if it enjoys being a problem. You lift the bucket carefully. It is heavier than it looks. Buckets always are. They like to surprise people. You carry it down the hallway, slow and steady. Spilling ash is a mistake that lives a long time. It floats. It settles. It gets noticed. You do not need that kind of attention this early. The cold air near the back door greets you again as you step outside briefly to empty the bucket. Snow crunches under your shoes. The sound feels loud in the quiet morning, even though it is not. Outside smells clean, sharp, honest. The ash is dumped. The bucket is lighter, and you feel slightly more powerful because of it. Back inside, there is more to do. There is always is more. You move to the floors. Next, rugs need brushing, not because they are dirty, but because dust exists. Dust is very confident in Victorian houses. It settles everywhere like it owns the place. You brush slowly in long strokes. The motion is steady and calm. Brush, lift, step back, repeat. It is almost relaxing if your arms do not mind. The hallway rug has patterns woven into it. You've seen them 1,000 times. Today, they look the same as yesterday. That is comforting. Nearby, a small table waits for attention. You wipe it with a cloth that has already wiped many things today. The cloth is tired but cooperative. The table shines just enough to look cared for. In the dining room, chairs need aligning. They are always slightly wrong. Someone always sits without pushing them back properly. You fix this. Quietly. Carefully. Chair legs scrape softly against the floor, and you pause, listening. No reaction. Good. Windows need checking. Curtains are still closed, but dust gathers along the sills anyway. You wipe it away with gentle movements. The cold glass chills your fingers for a moment. Then you move on. There's no rush, but there is no delay either. The house runs on a schedule you cannot see, but you feel it. If something is late, the whole day feels wrong. In the kitchen, more tasks wait. Pots need rinsing. Surfaces need wiping. The fire needs watching. Fires behave themselves only when they know you are paying attention. You stir a pot of water warming on the stove. Steam rises slowly, like it is thinking about leaving but not quite ready. The warmth is welcome. You stand close for a moment. Just a moment. Bread is taken out. Knives are laid neatly. Everything is placed where it belongs. The kitchen is not elegant, but it is efficient. It works hard without complaining. You carry water upstairs in a jug. It sloshes slightly, and you adjust your grip. Water does that. It moves when you do. You pour it into basins in the family's rooms. Cold water for washing. Warmth comes later. Bedrooms remain quiet. Beds are untouched. Heavy curtains block most of the light. You move like a guest who plans to leave before being noticed. In one room, you pause to straighten a blanket that has slipped. It feels unnecessary, but you do it anyway. Perfection here is not about logic. It is about expectation. The clock ticks louder now. Morning is moving forward whether you are ready or not. You are ready enough. Back downstairs, more fires are checked. You adjust a piece of coal here, a log there. Flames respond politely. They crackle softly, pleased with the attention. You sweep near the front entrance. Snow has melted slightly on the mat from earlier footsteps. You wipe it away. Wet floors are rude. The front door stays closed. The world outside can wait. Some chores are so small, they almost disappear. Picking up a thread from the floor. Straightening a picture frame that has leaned slightly. Removing a speck of soot from the wall near the fireplace. These are the details no one mentions, but everyone expects. Your hands move on their own now. Muscle memory does the thinking. You are present, but not focused. This is the best state for work like this. The house is warmer now. Not warm, but warmer. The cold has retreated to corners and shadows. It watches, waiting for its chance to return. You check the time again. Still early. Good. In a quiet moment, you realize you have not spoken a word since waking. That is normal. Some mornings pass without speech. Silence feels natural here. A faint sound comes from upstairs. A cough, a shift in bed. The household is beginning to stir. That means the first chores must be finished soon. You move a little faster now. Not rushed. Just efficient. The silver tray is polished lightly. It does not need much. It already shines. You make sure it shines evenly. Uneven shine would be embarrassing. Breakfast items are arranged neatly in the kitchen, ready for later. Nothing is served yet. That would be too early. Timing matters. You wash your hands briefly. The water is still cold. You accept this without comment. Cold water wakes you better than kindness ever could. The first chores of the day are not glamorous. No one tells stories about them. But without them, the rest of the day would fall apart quietly and immediately. You step back and look around. Floors clean, fires lit, rooms prepared. The house feels ready, calm, controlled. Soon, bells will ring. Voices will fill the air. Requests will be made. But for now, there is a brief pause. You stand still for a second, just breathing, just existing. The first chores are done, and like everything else in a servant's day, they disappear into the background, unnoticed, successful, and already forgotten. The day moves on. The winter kitchen is awake now. Not lively. Just awake enough. It sits at the back of the house, slightly hidden, like it knows it is useful, but not impressive. The stone floor is cold in a serious way. It does not pretend to warm up. It stays cold to remind you who is in charge. The kitchen is large, but not cozy. It is built for work, not comfort. Walls are plain. Surfaces are worn smooth by years of scrubbing. Nothing here is new, and nothing is decorative, unless it accidentally became that way. The fire crackles softly in the hearth. It took effort to get it going, and it knows it. The fire gives off just enough warmth to make the room tolerable, but only if you stand close and behave. Iron pots hang from hooks along the wall. They do not move unless asked. They are heavy, quiet, and patient. Some are blackened from years of use. They have seen many mornings like this one and are not impressed. A long wooden table sits in the center of the room. It has scratches, stains, and marks from meals long forgotten. The table is honest. It does not hide its age. It just keeps working. You set things out carefully. Bread first. Simple bread. No excitement. Bread does not try to be interesting. It just exists and gets eaten. Butter follows, wrapped and cool. It is firm in winter, stubborn even. Butter in winter has opinions. Knives are placed neatly. They line up like they are waiting for inspection. You make sure they are straight. Crooked knives feel disrespectful. Somehow, the smell of coal smoke mixes with something warmer now. The fire is doing its job. The air feels less sharp. You breathe a little deeper without realizing it. Water warms slowly in a pot. It takes its time. Rushing water only makes it stubborn. Steam begins to rise in thin, lazy lines. It feels like progress. The kitchen window is small and fogged slightly from the change in temperature. Outside, the snow still rests quietly. No rush out there either. The world and the kitchen seem to agree on pacing today. You move from task to task without stopping. Wipe a surface. Check the fire. Rearrange a tray. Each movement has a reason, even if that reason is simply habit. A cupboard door creaks when you open it. You pause, listening. The sound echoes for a moment, then disappears. No reaction from the rest of the house. Good. Inside the cupboard, plates sit stacked neatly. White, plain, reliable. You take them out one by one and place them on the table. They clink softly when they touch. You make a mental note to be gentler next time. The kitchen clock ticks louder than the others. Maybe it feels important, or maybe kitchens just echo sound more. Either way, it reminds you that breakfast is approaching. You glance at the fire again. Flames dance slowly, like they are stretching. Fires in winter kitchens work hard. They are fed often and thanked never. Very relatable. A kettle is placed closer to the heat. It will be needed soon. Everything will be needed soon. That is how mornings work. There is a rhythm to this space. Step, turn, reach, place, repeat. After a while, you stop thinking about it. Your hands know where to go. Your body moves before your mind catches up. The cold floor seeps through your shoes, reminding you that winter is not left just because the fire is trying. You shift your weight slightly. It helps a little. Not much, but enough. A faint smell of yesterday's meal still lingers. Not bad, just present. Kitchens collect smells the way walls collect memories. They never fully let go. You rinse a cup in cold water. Your fingers complain briefly, then adjust. Fingers are good at adjusting. They have no choice. The kitchen is not quiet, but it is not loud either. Small sounds fill the space. The scrape of a pot, the crackle of fire, soft splash of water. Together, they make something calming, almost musical. If you are very tired, you check the trays again. Everything looks correct. Correct is the goal. Perfect is unnecessary and suspicious. Outside, light grows stronger. The gray shifts slightly toward white. Morning is becoming confident now. The kitchen feels warmer than it did earlier. Or maybe you are warmer. Hard to tell. Both are possible. You pause near the fire again, just for a moment. Heat reaches your hands, your face. It feels like a reward, even though no one offered it. You straighten a cloth that was already straight. It feels like the right thing to do. The kitchen likes order. It behaves better when things are neat. Soon, someone upstairs will ring a bell. That bell will change everything. The quiet will break. The pace will increase. But for now, the kitchen belongs to you. This room sees servants more than anyone else. It knows your footsteps. It knows your habits. It does not judge. It just expects you to keep going. You take one last slow look around. Fire steady. Table ready. Tools in place. The kitchen is prepared. Winter kitchens do not feel kind, but they feel dependable. They are cold, honest spaces where work makes sense. And in a house full of rooms meant to impress, the kitchen remains the one place where things are real. You wipe your hands on your apron and take a breath. Breakfast is coming. The house is waking. The winter kitchen has done its part quietly and without complaint, just like you. And as the fire crackles softly behind you, you step away, ready for whatever the next hour decides to bring.
Breakfast does not announce itself. It arrives quietly, like everything else in this house. The bell rings upstairs. Not loud, just sharp enough to be heard. It cuts through the calm like a polite command. This is it. The quiet morning is changing shape. You do not sigh. You do not rush. You already knew this moment was coming. You lift the tray carefully, testing the weight. Plates, cups, teapot. Everything balanced just right. Trays demand respect. One bad step, and they become unforgettable. The tray feels warm underneath your hands. The teapot has finally done its job. Steam curls upward slowly, like it is thinking about escaping. You adjust the cups slightly. They clink softly, and you pause. Silence returns. Good. You step into the hallway. The carpet softens your footsteps, but not enough to be careless. You walk the path you have walked many times before. Left turn. Straight ahead, past the tall mirror you are not meant to look into. The house sounds different now. Not awake, but stirring. A door opens upstairs. A cough. A chair moves. The household is rising, and it expects breakfast to appear like magic. That magic is you. Quiet magic. You reach the first door. You knock gently, not loud enough to startle, not soft enough to be ignored. There is a pause. Then a voice. You enter. The room is warm now. Fires have worked. Curtains are still half drawn, letting in pale winter light. The air smells faintly of tea and coal smoke. Comfortable smells. You place the tray on the table carefully. Every movement is smooth. Controlled? Practiced. You pour tea without spilling a drop. You could do this in your sleep. Sometimes it feels like you already are. The person in the room barely looks at you. That is normal. Eye contact is optional. Silence is preferred. You step back and wait. Waiting is part of the job. You stand still, hands folded, eyes lowered slightly. You become furniture. Very polite furniture. A spoon stirs. A cup is lifted. Breakfast begins. You are dismissed with a small gesture. You leave the room as quietly as you entered. The door closes softly behind you, sealing warmth and comfort inside. Back into the hallway. The tray feels lighter now. You take it back to the kitchen. One delivery done. Several more to go. Another bell rings. This one from a different room. Bells have personalities. This one sounds impatient. You pretend not to notice. You prepare the next tray. Same items. Same care. Same silence. The routine repeats, and that is the point. Up the stairs again. Step by step. The stair carpet has worn patterns from years of servants climbing it, with trays just like this. You follow the marks without thinking. This room is larger, brighter. Someone sits near the fire, wrapped in a robe. The fire crackles confidently. It knows it is appreciated here. You place the tray down. Tea poured. Bread set neatly. Butter offered. Butter in winter resists being spread. That is not your problem. You stand back again. Still. Silent. A comment is made about the cold. You nod slightly. Cold is doing its best. A plate is pushed aside. You remove it. Smoothly. No sound. You are very good at being invisible while holding heavy things. Once dismissed, you retreat again. Door closed. Silence restored. Serving breakfast is not about food. It is about timing, about presence without interruption, about knowing when to move and when not to exist. By the third room, your arms feel the weight of repetition. Trays do not get lighter because you have carried many of them. They respect experience, but not enough to help. The hallway grows warmer as more fires burn. The cold pulls back slowly, offended but patient. Winter always returns later. You carry used trays back to the kitchen. Plates clatter softly as you set them down. You wince slightly, then relax. The kitchen forgives noise more easily. Cups are rinsed. Crumbs wiped away. Trays prepared again. Everything moves in cycles. Breakfast is not one task. It is many small ones pretending to be simple. Upstairs, voices grow louder. Not loud, just awake loud. Conversations begin. Papers rustle. Chairs scrape. The house feels fuller now. You pass by doorways where people talk without noticing you. That is fine. You are not here to be part of the morning. You are here to support it from the edges. In one room, someone asks for more tea. You nod and return moments later with the pot. You refill the cup perfectly. The tea stops just below the rim. You are proud of that. Quietly proud. A joke is made about the weather. You smile politely. Winter hears everything. Serving breakfast takes time. Not because it is slow, but because it must feel effortless. Effortlessness takes effort. Your feet know the path now without instructions. Turn here. Step there. Avoid that board. Pause before that door. Muscle memory carries you. Eventually, the bells stop ringing. Trays stop moving. Breakfast settles into digestion. The house relaxes slightly. You clear the last plates. Carry the final tray back downstairs. The kitchen welcomes you with warmth and familiar smells. You set everything down and exhale. Just a little. Enough to notice. The hardest part is done. The house has eaten. That is important. Houses behave better when fed. You wipe the table. Stack the plates. Set the cups to dry. The rhythm slows again. The loudest part of the morning has passed. And it was never loud at all. Silence returns, but it is a different silence now. A working silence. A daytime silence. You glance at the clock. Morning is moving along. The day has found its pace. Serving breakfast in silence is an art. You are not applauded for it. But when it goes wrong, everyone notices. Today, it did not go wrong. You straighten your apron, wash your hands, and prepare for the next set of tasks, waiting patiently nearby. The house hums softly now, full and awake, and you move on quietly, as you always do.
Once breakfast is finished, the house feels different, not relaxed, just occupied. People are awake now. Doors open and close. Voices travel down hallways and disappear around corners. The house is no longer yours alone, but the work does not stop. In some ways, it increases. Cleaning begins room by room, always room by room. Skipping ahead only causes problems later, and problems like to wait until the worst possible moment. You start with the rooms closest to the stairs. They are used first, so they must look untouched. That is the goal. Everything used, nothing showing it, a cloth rests in your hand, already damp from earlier. You smooth it over tables and shelves with slow, even movements. Dust comes away easily. Dust always comes back. It is a very loyal thing. Furniture stands heavy and serious in these rooms. Chairs with carved legs. Tables that look like they were never meant to move. You work around them carefully, like they might take offense. Fireplaces need attention again. Ash settles quickly, as if it enjoys making a mess. You clean the edges, wipe away soot marks, and adjust the screen. Flames flicker politely. They behave better when watched. You move next to the sitting room. This room pretends to be calm, but it gets used more than it admits. Cushions are plumped, not fluffed. Fluffing would be too cheerful. Plumped is proper. You straighten books that no one has read recently. You align them by height, not by topic. Order is visual here. Knowledge is secondary. The carpet is brushed again. You already did this earlier, but now it matters more. Footprints show easily in winter light. You erase them carefully, one slow stroke at a time. Each room has its own mood. You learn them over time. Some rooms feel heavy, like they remember arguments. Others feel empty, like no one quite belongs in them. You do not judge. You clean. The dining room comes next. The table is wiped down, even though it will not be used again until later. Chairs are pushed in evenly. Silverware is checked and returned to its place. The room looks like it is waiting for an event that may or may not happen. You open a window slightly, just enough to let stale air escape. Cold rushes in, sharp and fast. You close it again quickly. The house dislikes drafts. Upstairs, bedrooms need attention. Beds are made carefully. Sheets are pulled tight, corners tucked neatly. You smooth wrinkles like they have personally offended you. Curtains are adjusted to let in more light. Winter light is not generous, but it tries. Rooms look larger when the curtains behave. Wash basins are checked. Water is refreshed if needed. Towels are folded just so. Not too neat. Too neat looks suspicious. You move quietly through hallways, stepping aside when someone passes. You are present, but never in the way. That balance takes practice. Picture frames are dusted. Some contain family members you will never meet. They stare back silently. You nod politely and continue. In one room, a clock has stopped. You wind it gently. It ticks again, proud of itself. Time should not pause here unless someone important asks it to. The library smells like old paper and wood. You dust shelves carefully, avoiding the books themselves when possible. Books remember rough handling. The floor creaks as you shift your weight. You freeze for a moment, listening. No reaction. You continue. Cleaning room by room is slow, but it makes sense. You see progress. Each finished space feels calm, controlled, complete. The house begins to look effortless, like it cleans itself. That is the highest compliment. Your hands move constantly now. Wipe, brush, adjust, straighten. The rhythm settles into your bones. It is almost soothing. The cold is less noticeable now. Work generates warmth. Movement chases it away. Almost. Downstairs again, you check the entrance hall. Boots have left marks. You clean them away. Coats are straightened. The mat is brushed clean. You step back and look around. The house looks untouched, perfect, like nothing has happened at all. That means everything has happened. Room by room, the work disappears behind you. No sign remains except order. Your arms feel tired. Your shoulders notice the effort. You ignore them politely. They will complain later. The clock moves forward. Morning is becoming midday. The house settles into a steady rhythm of living and being served. You wipe your hands on your apron and take a slow breath. Cleaning the house room by room is never dramatic. It does not need to be. It is quiet work, invisible work. Work that exists only when it is done correctly. And as you move on to the next set of tasks, waiting patiently ahead, the rooms behind you stay clean, silent, and ready, just the way they should be. By now, the house is clean, at least clean enough to pretend it has always been this way. The work slows slightly, and something else becomes more noticeable. Sound, or rather, the small sounds that live inside quiet. Winter has its own way of speaking. It never raises its voice. It does not need to. The wind moves outside first. You hear it brush against the house, gentle but persistent. It slips around corners, taps lightly on windows, then moves on like it has other places to be. It sounds patient. Winter always has time. Snow shifts on the roof with a soft slide. Not enough to alarm anyone, just enough to remind the house that wait exists. Somewhere, a bit of snow falls to the ground outside. No one sees it. It still happens. Inside, the clocks take over. Every room has one, or at least it feels that way. They tick at slightly different speeds, like they are competing quietly. None of them are winning. Footsteps echo faintly in the hallways. Not yours this time. Someone from the household moves from room to room. The sound is heavier, more confident. Shoes meant for warmth, not work. You step aside instinctively. The sound passes. Silence fills the space again, like water returning after a stone sinks. The fire speaks. Next, a low crackle. A soft pop. The sound of wood and coal agreeing to work together. It is a comforting noise, even if you pretend not to care. You pause near one of the fireplaces for a moment. Not too close. Just enough to hear it properly. Fires sound different in winter. More serious. They know they are needed. In the kitchen, pots settle with quiet metal sighs. The fire underneath them changes the air, and they respond. It sounds like impatience, but it is not. It is just physics doing its job. Somewhere upstairs, a door closes. Gently, someone is trying to be quiet. That effort is noticed, even if no one says so. The house breathes. You can hear it if you stand still long enough. Wood expands slightly as warmth spreads. Walls adjust. Floors respond. Old houses are always adjusting. The sound of fabric moving drifts down the stairs. Someone changing clothes. Layers shifting. Winter clothing is never silent. It whispers wherever it goes. Outside, a horse passes on the street. Hooves make a dull, rhythmic sound against snow and stone. Slow. Careful. The driver knows better than to rush on winter roads. The sound fades, leaving the street quiet again. The city feels far away, even though it is just outside the door. You hear your own movements more clearly now. The soft brush of cloth against wood. The quiet slide of a chair leg. The faint tap of a cloth against a shelf. You move slower without meaning to. Sound encourages caution. Even breathing feels louder in winter silence. You breathe through your nose gently. Cold air feels sharper that way, more awake. A kettle begins to murmur softly in the kitchen. Not boiling yet. Just thinking about it. The sound is low and steady, like it is planning ahead. You adjust it slightly on the stove. The sound changes. Satisfied, somewhere, paper rustles, pages turning. Reading has begun in one of the rooms. Winter is good for reading. It makes sitting still feel productive. The ticking clocks continue their work. Time moves forward without asking anyone if that is convenient. You pass by a window and hear the faintest scrape as a branch brushes against the glass. It does not knock. It just touches, then moves away. The tree is polite. In the entrance hall, the door settles into its frame with a quiet thump, wood against wood. Secure. Closed. The outside world is kept where it belongs. The quiet sounds make the house feel full even when no one speaks. It is a living quiet, not an empty one. You notice how different each sound feels. Some are sharp, some are soft, some stretch out and fade slowly. Together, they form the background of the day. This is the part no one writes about, the in-between moments. The pauses, the sounds that exist only because nothing louder is happening. In winter, these sounds feel closer. The cold carries them, holds onto them, refuses to let them drift away too quickly. A floorboard creaks behind you. You stop instantly. The sound hangs in the air for a second. Then nothing. The house accepts your pause and moves on. You continue working, but slower now. Not because you are tired, because the quiet asks for it. Somewhere in the distance, church bells ring faintly, very faintly. The sound travels through cold air, better than warm. It arrives softened, like a memory. The bells remind you of time passing outside the house, people walking, shops opening, life moving forward. Inside, everything remains calm and contained. The kitchen clock ticks louder than before, or maybe you are just noticing it now. Either way, it is doing important work. The fire shifts again, sending a soft echo up the chimney. Smoke moves upward, unseen, but audible if you listen closely. You listen. Winter days do not rush. They stretch. They give space for sound to exist on its own. A spoon taps gently against a cup upstairs. Someone stirs tea. The sound is brief, then gone. You straighten a stack of folded cloths and hear the fabric slide softly against itself. Clean. Dry. Ready. The house seems pleased, or at least not annoyed. That is good enough. The quiet sounds of winter are not meant to be noticed. But once you do notice them, they are everywhere. They slow you down, calm you, keep you company, and as you stand for a moment in the middle of the hallway, listening to nothing in particular and everything at once, the day feels steady. Nothing dramatic will happen. Nothing needs to happen. The house breathes. The fire crackles. The clocks tick. Winter speaks softly. And you listen because you have time to listen. Soon, the day will move forward again. More tasks, more movement. But for now, the quiet sounds fill the space between duties. You take a slow breath, then return to your work, carrying the calm of winter's quiet with you as the house continues its gentle, ordinary day. By midday, the house settles into a steady rhythm, not fast, not slow, just moving. The loudest work of the morning is done. Fires are burning. Rooms are clean. Breakfast has passed and been forgotten. The household has found its routines, and for a short while, no one needs anything urgently. This is when the servant gets a pause, not a break, a pause. It is not announced. No bell rings for it. You just feel it arrive like a small pocket of calm opening in the middle of the day. The kitchen is quieter now. The fire still burns, but it is no longer demanding attention every few minutes. Pots sit where they were left, warm and patient. The air smells faintly of food and coal smoke, a combination that feels familiar and safe. You move toward a small corner of the kitchen or sometimes a back room nearby, not a dining room, not a sitting room, just a space where you can stand or sit without being seen too easily. Your meal waits for you. Simple, always simple. Bread again. Bread is very committed to being part of every meal. A small piece of cheese, if you are lucky. Maybe some broth. Nothing hot enough to rush you. Nothing fancy enough to slow you down. If you sit on a stool that wobbles slightly, it always wobbles. You have learned where to place your weight so it behaves. The bread is a little dry, but not bad. You eat slowly. Not because you are trying to enjoy it, but because this is the only time today where no one is watching your hands. The kitchen clock ticks nearby. It feels closer now, like it has leaned in to check on you. You ignore it politely. This meal is quiet. No talking, no laughing, just chewing and thinking, but not too much. Thinking too much during a pause like this can make the rest of the day feel longer. You sip from a cup. The liquid is warm enough to matter. That helps. Winter meals are often more about temperature than taste. Around you, the house continues its soft noises. A door opens upstairs. Someone walks across a room. Papers rustle. Life carries on without noticing you are sitting here. That is fine. Servants do not disappear during the day, but they fade. This is one of those moments. You look down at your hands. They are a little rough, a little red from cold and work. They have done many things today already. They will do many more before night. You flex your fingers slowly. They respond, but not eagerly. That is normal. The pause is short. You know this? You do not rush it, but you do not stretch it either. Pauses that go on too long attract attention, and attention asks questions. You take another bite of bread, chew, swallow, breathe. There is no conversation about how the morning went. No one asks if you are tired. No one wonders how you feel. That is not part of the arrangement. Still, this quiet moment belongs to you. Outside the small window, daylight looks thin and pale. Winter sun does not shine, it appears. It rests on surfaces without warming them much. Snow remains on the ground. It has been walked on now, marked and uneven. Morning's clean look is gone. That happens quickly. You finish the last of your food and wipe your hands on a cloth. The cloth has already been used for many things today. It does not complain. The cup is rinsed, placed upside down. Done? For a moment, you remain where you are, not doing anything, just existing in the middle of the day. This is rare enough to notice. The kitchen feels calm, comfortable in its own practical way. It does not judge you for sitting. It knows you will get up soon. Your body relaxes slightly. Shoulders drop. Breath slows. It feels good, but also strange. You are not used to stillness during daylight. The clock ticks again, louder now. Or maybe you are just listening to it more closely. Either way, the message is clear. The pause is ending. You stand up slowly. The stool creaks. You pause, then continue. The sound fades. No problem. Your apron is straightened. Not because it matters, but because you always do that before moving on. It signals that the pause is over. As you step back into the main part of the kitchen, the house seems to notice you again. Not directly. just subtly, like it has remembered you exist. There are dishes to check, surfaces to wipe, small tasks that have been waiting politely while you ate. The simple meal does not stay with you long. Its purpose is practical. It gives just enough energy to carry on, nothing more, nothing wasted. That is how things work here. Midday passes quietly in this way. No ceremony, no announcement, just a shift from one set of tasks to another. You take one last glance toward the window. The light is already changing. Winter days do not hold on to afternoon for long. Soon, there will be more work. Laundry, fires, preparing for evening. The house never truly rests, but for now, the pause has done its job. You feel steadier, warmer, ready enough, and as you return to your duties, the memory of this small, quiet meal fades gently, leaving behind only what it was meant to give. Enough. Laundry waits for no one, especially not in winter. The baskets are heavier today. Winter clothes always are. Thick fabric holds on to water, cold, and effort all at once. You look at the pile and already feel tired, but that does not change anything. The laundry area is colder than the kitchen. It has fewer fires and more stone. Stone remembers winter very well. You step carefully. The floor is not slippery, but it enjoys pretending it might be. Water is poured into a large tub. It splashes louder than expected. Cold water always announces itself. You roll up your sleeves and lower your hands in. The shock is quick and sharp. You do not react. Reacting does not help. Soap is added. Plain soap, no gentle smells, just clean. You rub fabric together slowly, working the soap in. The movement is steady, circular. Familiar? Shirts first, then linens, then heavier items. You follow an order that makes sense to your hands, even if you could not explain it out loud. The water clouds as dirt leaves the fabric. You pretend not to notice how cold your fingers feel. Fingers are dramatic. They calm down. Eventually, you lift a piece of clothing from the tub. It is heavy and dripping. Water runs back down your arms and onto the floor. You wring it out slowly, twisting carefully. The fabric resists. Winter cloth always does. The sound of water dripping fills the space. Drip, drip, drip. It is steady and calm, almost relaxing if you ignore the cold. You move the washed items to another tub to rinse. More water, still cold, still honest. You repeat the process without thinking too much. Thinking makes it worse. Outside, the air is cold enough to freeze breath. Laundry does not dry easily on days like this. You hang what you can near warmth. Lines stretch across the room like quiet reminders of how much work remains. Some garments are too heavy to hang. They are laid flat, turned carefully, watched closely. Dampness is stubborn. Mold is worse. Your hands are red now. Skin tight. You flex your fingers slowly. They protest, then continue working. They have learned obedience. The laundry room smells clean in a simple way. Soap and wet cloth. No perfume. No comfort. Just progress. You check the fire nearby. It is small but loyal. You add a piece of coal. The flame responds with a soft crackle, pleased to be noticed. Steam rises faintly from damp fabric near the fire. It disappears quickly into the cold air. Winter does not allow warmth to linger without permission. You move methodically. Wash, rinse, wring, hang, repeat. The routine takes over. Time becomes less important. The work itself sets the pace. Your back feels the effort now. You straighten slowly. A brief stretch, then back to it. Pauses are allowed only when necessary. The house above continues its quiet life. You hear distant footsteps, a door closing, someone laughing softly. That sound does not reach you fully. It fades before becoming real. Laundry is lonely work. That is not a complaint. It is just how it is. Water and cloth do not talk much. You switch to linens. Sheets and towels are larger, heavier, more demanding. They soak up water like they are storing it for later. You wring them carefully, using your weight this time. They give in slowly. The floor grows damp beneath your feet. You wipe it occasionally. Slips are inconvenient and memorable. You avoid both. By the time the last items are hung, your arms feel heavy, not painful, just aware. Very aware. You step back and look at the lines of laundry. Damp clothes hanging quietly, waiting for time and warmth to do their part. It feels like progress. Slow progress, but real. Winter laundry never feels finished. Even when everything is washed, it is still drying, still waiting, still not quite done. You wash your hands again, this time briefly. Cold water, of course. You dry them on a rough cloth. It helps a little. The laundry room looks busy now. Full. Useful. Like it has earned its place in the house. You close the door carefully, keeping the warmth in as much as possible. The laundry will be checked later. For now, it can wait. As you step back into the hallway, the air feels warmer by comparison. That surprises you, even though it should not. Laundry on a cold day takes more time, more strength, and more patience than anyone ever mentions. But it gets done. It always does. You take a slow breath and flex your hands once more. They have worked hard. They will work again. The day moves forward, carrying damp fabric, cold water, and quiet effort along with it, just like it always has. And you move on to the next task, leaving the laundry to dry slowly, stubbornly, and without any concern for your schedule. By the time laundry is left to dry, your body knows it is midday, not by clocks, by feeling. Hunger arrives quietly. It does not demand attention. It just waits, patient and polite, like everything else in this house. The kitchen is calmer now. Morning rush is gone. Fires burn lower. Pots rest instead of boiling. The room feels like it is taking a long breath. This is when servants eat, not together in any grand way, just quickly, simply. Enough to continue. You wash your hands again. Cold water, as always. You dry them on your apron because the towel is somewhere else, and this is faster. The meal is already planned. It always is. Bread, a bit of cheese, maybe some leftover stew if there is enough. Nothing exciting, nothing surprising. Bread is cut thick. Thin slices feel dishonest. Thick slices feel like they might actually help. You sit on a small stool near the table. Not the good table. A side table, the one that wobbles slightly no matter how you fix it. You have accepted this. You eat slowly, not because you want to, but because rushing makes you tired later. Chewing carefully gives your body time to remember what energy feels like. The kitchen makes quiet sounds around you. Fire pops once. A kettle shifts slightly. Wood settles. These noises are familiar, comforting in a very practical way. You sip water, not tea. Tea is for later, if at all. Water does the job. There is no silence exactly, just no conversation. No one expects conversation now. Words would only interrupt chewing. You think about nothing important. That is the best part. No lists, no steps, no order. Just food and warmth And a few minutes of sitting down, your legs feel heavy when you stop moving. You stretch them out slightly, then pull them back in. Stretching too much feels risky, like your body might refuse to get up again. A few crumbs fall onto the table. You notice them. You will clean them later. For now, they stay. The cheese is sharp. It wakes you up more than expected. You make a small face without meaning to. No one sees it. That is fine. You finish eating before hunger fully disappears. That is the rule. Eating until full makes work harder. Eating enough makes it possible. You stand slowly. Knees complain quietly. You ignore them politely. They quiet down. The plate is wiped clean. No waste. Everything is returned to its place. The kitchen looks unchanged again, like it was never used. You pause by the fire for a moment, longer than necessary. The warmth is tempting. The warmth is tempting. Winter days steal heat quickly. You borrow some back while you can. Outside the kitchen, the house continues. Voices pass by. Someone calls for something upstairs. Footsteps hurry, then slow. Your break is over. It always is, but the short rest has helped. Your hands feel steadier. Your shoulders less tight. Hunger no longer distracts you. You take one last sip of water and straighten your apron back to proper shape, back to proper posture. The kitchen returns to its quiet waiting state, ready for the next use. Ready to pretend nothing happened. As you step back into the hallway, the light looks different, slightly brighter. Or maybe you are just more awake now. Midday meals are not special. No one talks about them. No one remembers them later, but they matter. They carry you through the second half of the day, through more cleaning, more lifting, more quiet work that needs doing. You take a deep breath, feeling the warmth settle inside you, and move toward the next task without hurry. There is still much to do. There always is. But for now, your stomach is calm, your body steady, and the day continues at its slow, careful pace, just the way it should. Afternoon does not end suddenly. It fades. The light changes first. You notice it without meaning to. The bright edge it had earlier softens, then dulls like someone slowly turning down a lamp you did not know was on. Windows no longer flood rooms with light. They offer it carefully now, in smaller portions. Shadows grow longer and more confident. They stretch across floors and settle in corners like they plan to stay. You pause near one window longer than necessary. Outside, the sky has taken on a pale, tired color. Not dark yet. Just thinking about it, winter afternoons are brief. Everyone knows this. The house feels it too. It becomes quieter, as if conserving energy. You move through rooms again, but slower this time. Tasks remain, but they no longer rush you. The pace of the day has shifted. Curtains are checked, not closed yet. Just adjusted. You pull them back slightly to catch what light remains. The fabric feels cool and heavy in your hands. In the sitting room, the furniture looks different now. Less sharp, softer around the edges. Chairs seem less strict when the light fades. Even tables relax a little. You straighten a cushion and step back. The room looks calm, ready. The clocks sound louder in the late afternoon. Each tick stands out. Time is making itself known. You move upstairs. Hallways are dimmer now. Floorboards creak more clearly. Sound travels farther when light leaves. Bedrooms feel cooler. You smooth a blanket that will not be used for hours. Still, it matters. Everything should be prepared before it is needed. Outside one window, A bird sits very still. You watch it for a moment. It looks like it is thinking about warmth. The sky shifts again. Pale blue becomes gray. Gray becomes something closer to silver. Snow on rooftops reflects the change softly. You return downstairs. The entrance hall feels taller in low light. Shadows climb the walls, stretching shapes that disappear when you look directly at them. A draft slips in somewhere. You close a door gently. The house settles again. This is the quiet middle of the day. Not morning anymore. Not evening yet. A pause that belongs to no one, you take advantage of it. You wipe a surface that is already clean. It gives your hands something to do while the day finishes changing. The kitchen is dimmer too. The fire helps, but it does not reach every corner. You notice how shadows move when the flame shifts. Slow, careful. You stand still for a moment, listening. No urgent footsteps. No calls. Just the low sound of the house existing. Afternoon fading always brings a certain calm. Work feels less heavy. Thoughts slow down. Even worries seem tired. You check windows again. Outside, the first hints of evening appear. A distant light in another house. Smoke rising straighter now in colder air. Soon, lamps will be needed. Fires will be encouraged. Evening routines will begin. But not yet. You enjoy these few minutes. Not in any dramatic way. Just by noticing them. The floor beneath your feet feels solid. Familiar. The air smells faintly of coal and cold. You move through the dining room. The table waits patiently. Chairs sit quietly, pushed in neatly. Everything is where it should be. Light slips lower. Shadows settle. The house grows more inward, like it is turning its attention to itself. You feel it in your body too. A slight heaviness. Not exhaustion. Just the natural weight of hours spent working. You stretch your shoulders gently. Nothing loud. Nothing obvious. Just enough to keep moving comfortably. The afternoon is almost gone now. The sky outside has lost its color. It looks like it is holding its breath. You take one last look out the window before turning away. Snow reflects what little light remains, making the world glow faintly like a memory. Inside, the house waits for evening. You straighten your apron, take a slow breath, and prepare to move on. The quiet will not last much longer. But for this moment, as the afternoon light fades, everything feels balanced, not rushed, not loud, just steady. And the day continues, gently sliding toward night. Evening announces itself without speaking. The air changes. The light is gone. And the house expects warmth. This is when the fires matter most. You start with the main hearth. It has been resting, holding onto embers like a secret. You kneel down and stir them gently. They glow brighter at once. Happy to be noticed again. Ash shifts softly. You move carefully. Evening fires should look calm, not busy. No one wants to see effort at this hour. You add coals slowly. One piece, then another. Not stacked too high. Fires that are rushed behave badly later. The flame grows, steady and controlled. It crackles in a quiet, reassuring way. This fire knows its job. You adjust the grate and brush stray ash into the pan. The hearth looks clean again. Respectable, like it has always been this way. The room begins to warm almost immediately. Not fully. Just enough to promise comfort. Next comes the sitting room fire. This one needs more care. it will be used the most. People will gather near it, pretend not to stare at it, and secretly judge its behavior. You check the draft. Too much air and the fire roars. Too little and it soaks. You find the balance and leave it there. A log is added this time. Logs burn slower, softer. They make a better sound in the evening, less sharp, more patient. The fire responds with a low hum and a slow flame. Perfect. You stand back and watch for a moment. Evening fires should not surprise anyone. They should simply be there, doing their job quietly. Upstairs, bedroom fires are prepared lightly. Just enough warmth to take the edge off the cold. No one wants to sleep in heat. Warmth should arrive slowly, like rest. You remove excess ash and straighten the tools beside the hearth. Tools matter. Tools that look messy suggest the fire was difficult. You check the smell. A good fire smells clean. Smoke that lingers means something is wrong. You adjust once more, just to be safe. Downstairs again. You return to the main rooms. The glow from the hearth spreads gently now. Shadows move, but they move kindly. You place the fire screen carefully. Not too close, not too far. Sparks are rare, but respect is important. The house feels different with the evening fire prepared, more alive, more settled. Like it can finally relax. You notice how people respond without realizing it. Voices soften. Movement slow. Chairs shift closer without anyone admitting why. Your hands are warm now. You rub them together briefly. Not too long. Lingering suggests idleness. Cold dust marks your fingers. You wipe them clean on a cloth, then smooth your apron. Order restored. You check one last fire, just a glance, just enough to know it will behave. The work is almost invisible when done correctly. No one thanks the fire. No one praises it. That means you have succeeded. You step back into the hallway. The warmth follows you for a moment, then stays behind, loyal to the room it serves. Evening has fully arrived now. Lamps will be lit soon. Supper will be prepared. The house will move into its nighttime rhythm, but for now the fires are ready. They burn steady. They warm quietly. They ask for nothing. And as you move on to the next task, the glow behind you settles into the walls, carrying the comfort of a well-prepared evening into every corner of the house. Evening supper does not rush. It expects patience. The kitchen wakes up again, but differently than in the morning. The energy is lower, slower, more deliberate. Fires are steady now, not eager. Pots are chosen carefully, like no one wants to make unnecessary noise. You begin by checking what has already been prepared. Some things are ready to warm. Others need only small attention. Supper is not meant to impress. It is meant to arrive on time. You lay out plates on the side table, not the everyday ones either, the in-between set. Clean. Quiet. Dependable. Cutlery is placed carefully. Even spacing matters. Crooked forks are noticed. Even if no one admits it, you move to the stove and stir a pot slowly. Steam rises in a lazy way. The smell is simple, familiar. It fills the kitchen without trying too hard. Bread is sliced again. Thinner this time, Supper asks less than midday. You arrange the slices neatly as if they care. A dish is wiped one last time, even though it is already clean. Habit is strong. Habit keeps mistakes away. You check the clock. Supper is close. Not yet, but close enough to feel it. Someone passes through the kitchen briefly. A question is asked. An answer is given. Nothing more. Even words are economical at this hour. You carry plates carefully into the dining room. The fire there behaves well, casting a warm glow across the table. Shadows from chairs stretch and settle. Plates are set down softly. Sound matters now. Clatter feels rude in the evening. You return for more. Back and forth. Kitchen to dining room. Dining room to kitchen. The path is worn into your steps by now. Serving dishes are placed just so. Handles facing outward. Lids resting slightly off to avoid steam building. Small details that no one sees directly, but everyone feels. The room fills slowly with people. Chairs move. Fabric rustles. Voices stay low. You stand to the side, ready, watching for signals. A glance. A pause. A hand moving toward an empty space. You respond before it becomes a problem. Water is poured. Not too much. Glasses are adjusted. Bread is offered, then offered again. You move quietly, almost blending into the room. Presence without interruption. That is the goal. Plates are cleared when allowed. Not too early, not too late. Timing matters more than speed. Back in the kitchen, dishes begin to gather. You stack them carefully, already planning the cleaning ahead. That will come later. For now, supper is still happening. You wipe a small spill from the table before it dries. No one comments. That is good. The meal continues. Slowly, comfortably. The fire hums. Lamps glow. The house feels full without being loud. When the final plates are cleared, you carry them away in balanced stacks. Heavy, but manageable. You have learned how much is too much. The dining room returns to order. Chairs pushed in. Table wiped clean. Nothing left behind. Supper duties end the way they began, quietly. You wash your hands again. Warm water this time, if you are lucky. It feels generous. The kitchen settles back into stillness. Fires lower. Pots rest. Evening moves on, and you, having guided supper into and out of the house without disturbance, take a breath and prepare for the last stretch of the day, because night work is coming. And the house, well fed and warm, is ready for it. Night does not fall all at once. It arrives in pieces. After supper, the house exhales. Conversations fade. Footsteps slow. Doors close more softly than before. This is when the final chores begin. You start in the dining room. Plates are already gone, but traces remain. A crumb under the table. A mark where a glass once stood. Small things. Always small things. You wipe the table carefully, moving in slow lines. The wood gleams faintly in lamplight. It looks satisfied. Chairs are pushed in evenly, legs aligned, order restored. The carpet is brushed again, just once. Enough to erase the memory of the evening. In the sitting room, fires are checked. Not fed, just respected. You adjust the screen and make sure nothing dangerous remains too close. Sparks are unlikely, But the night remembers mistakes. Ash is gathered and set aside. Tools are straightened. They like to sleep neatly. Lamps are topped up where needed. Not much, just enough to last. You trim a wick that looks too confident. It will behave better now. You move through hallways, lowering lamps slightly. Bright light is not welcome at night. Soft light belongs here. Windows are checked. Curtains are drawn fully now. Cold is kept outside where it belongs. You listen for drafts and silence them politely. Upstairs, bedrooms are prepared for sleep. Blankets are straightened. Pillows are adjusted. A shoe is moved closer to the bed. Little comforts, unnoticed but important. Wash basins are refreshed. Towels replaced. Everything should be ready without asking. You step quietly. Night work demands respect. Floorboards are old and enjoy announcing visitors. You learn where to place your weight. In one room, a lamp flickers. You adjust it carefully until it steadies. A steady light is a calm light. The air smells different now. Warmth, oil, clean cloth. The scent of a day nearly finished. You return downstairs. The entrance hall is last. Doors are locked. Bolts checked. The house is tucked in. You pause there for a moment, listening. The building settles. Wood contracts. Fires whisper. It sounds like rest. Your body feels the weight of the day now. Not painful, just heavy. The kind of tired that feels earned. You wipe your hands on your apron one last time and straighten it, even though no one is looking. Habit does not sleep. The kitchen is left clean and quiet. No dishes waiting. No fires demanding attention. Tomorrow can start without yesterday in the way. You take one final walk through the main rooms. Lamps glow softly. Shadows stay where they should. Everything is ready. Final chores are never dramatic. They are careful. They close the day gently without reminding anyone how much work it took. You turn down the last lamp you are responsible for. The light fades, but not completely. Just enough. Night has arrived. And with the house secure, warm, and calm, your work slows to a stop. The day is done. What remains is quiet, darkness, and the promise that tomorrow will ask for all of this again. But for now, there is rest, and the house sleeps held together by the small, invisible tasks that finished it properly. With the final chores done, the house no longer needs you, at least not loudly. You move away from the main rooms and back toward the narrower corridors. The air changes as you go. Less warmth, less polish, more honesty. The servants' quarters wait quietly, exactly as you left them. No lamps glow here unless needed. Light is saved. You step inside and close the door softly, not because someone told you to. Because quiet feels right now. Your shoes come off first, slowly. You place them side by side. They look tired. You understand the room is small but familiar. Bed, chair, a hook on the wall. Nothing extra. Nothing missing. You hang your apron carefully. It smells faintly of soap, coal, and the day itself. It has worked hard. It will work again. You sit for a moment before doing anything else, just sitting. Letting your body remember what stillness feels like. The cold returns quickly, without the house fires nearby. You pull a blanket closer around your shoulders. It is thin, but it tries. Your hands ache now that they have time to complain. You flex your fingers gently. They protest, then settle. You look around the room. Shadows move softly as the building shifts. The ceiling is low. The walls are plain. It is enough. There is comfort in knowing this space belongs to you, even if only in the smallest way. No one expects anything here. You wash your face with cool water from a small basin. It wakes you just enough to feel clean, not enough to restart the day. A simple night shirt is folded and waiting. You change slowly, carefully. Movements feel heavier now, like gravity has increased slightly. You sit again on the edge of the bed. The mattress creaks in a familiar way. You think it might creak even if you weren't there. Outside the room, the house makes night sounds. Pipes tick, a distant step, a door settling. All normal, all safe. You lie back and pull the blanket up to your chest. The fabric is rough, but warm from earlier use. Warmth is relative. Your breathing slows without effort. The day begins to loosen its grip. Lists fade. Tasks drift away. Tomorrow will arrive early. You know that. The thought does not trouble you. It is simply part of things. For now, there is rest. You turn your head slightly and stare at the faint outline of the ceiling. Darkness fills the edges of your vision gently, without hurry. The house above you sleeps. Fires burn low. Lamps dim. Everything is where it should be. And as you settle into the small, quiet space that ends your day, sleep approaches without ceremony. No dreams yet, just stillness. Another winter day has been lived, worked, finished, and in the servants' quarters, tucked away from the grand rooms and glowing fires, you rest, ready to do it all again. Sleep does not come immediately. It rarely does. You lie there, wrapped in the quiet, listening to the house breathe around you. Not loudly, just enough to remind you that it is still there, holding together. This moment belongs to no task. Your body is still now. Truly still. Muscles that carried you through the day loosen one by one, like they are finally being given permission. The small room feels larger in the dark. Edges soften, corners disappear. Everything blends into calm. You hear the faintest sound of wind outside. It brushes the building gently, testing it. The walls do not answer. Somewhere above, a fire settles, a soft shift. A low sigh of embers rearranging themselves. The house adjusts and then relaxes again. Your breathing slows. You do not try to control it. There is no need. It finds its own pace. Thoughts drift in and out, light and unimportant. A lamp being turned down. Snow on a window. The sound of water dripping in the laundry room. They pass without stopping. This is the rare space between doing and sleeping. A pause the day allows if you are quiet enough to notice it. Your hands rest loosely at your sides. They are no longer tense, no longer ready. Just hands again. The chill in the room does not bother you as much now. The blanket holds warmth close. Your body creates the rest. You feel the weight of the mattress beneath you. Solid, reliable, It does not ask anything of you. Time becomes less clear. Seconds stretch. Minutes blur. It no longer matters which one it is. In the distance, a clock ticks. Slow, patient. Even time seems tired. You think briefly of the morning that will come. Cold floors, early light. Quiet work beginning again. The thought floats by and leaves without concern. This moment is enough. The stillness wraps around you gently, like a careful hand smoothing a blanket. Nothing presses in. Nothing pulls away. Your eyes grow heavy, but you keep them closed. Darkness is comfortable now. Familiar. The house holds steady. It has survived many nights like this. It will survive many more. Your breathing deepens. Each breath sinks you further into the bed, further away from effort. The day loosens completely now. It slips off your shoulders and leaves you lighter. No expectations remain. No bells. No voices, just quiet. This moment of stillness is small, but it is complete. It does not need to last. It only needs to exist. And as sleep finally begins to arrive, slow and kind, you drift with it willingly, not thinking, not planning, just resting. The house keeps watch, and you sleep. Night arrives fully when no one is paying attention. The house does not announce it. It simply accepts it. Lamps glow lower. Fires burn down to soft circles of red. Shadows deepen and stay where they land. Outside, the world is quiet. Snow rests where it fell, undisturbed. Streets are empty. Windows in nearby houses go dark one by one, like tired eyes closing. Inside, the Victorian house settles into itself. Wood cools and shifts. Beams relax after a long day of holding weight. Floors release small sounds. Not complaints, just reminders of age. Curtains hang still. No drafts push against them now. Cold waits outside patiently, knowing it will return in the morning. Clocks continue their work steady and calm. Each tick sounds louder in the quiet, marking time that no one needs to watch. In the sitting room, chairs sit exactly where they were left. The fire there glows faintly, a low warmth that belongs to memory more than heat. It will last a little longer, then fade. The dining room sleeps. The table is clear. No crumbs, no dishes. It looks untouched, like the evening never happened. Upstairs, bedrooms rest in darkness. Blankets rise and fall gently with breathing. Lamps stand ready but unused. The stairway holds shadows carefully along the walls. They do not move now. They have finished their wandering for the day. In the servants' quarters, quiet is complete. No footsteps, no whispered plans, just rest. The house feels whole at night, not busy, not impressive, just complete. It has done what it was meant to do today. It sheltered, it warmed, it held work and rest together without complaint. Outside, the sky is dark and wide. Stars are hidden behind winter clouds. The moon watches from a distance, pale and patient. Smoke rises straight from chimneys, then disappears into the cold air. Even that movement feels sleepy. Inside, nothing asks for attention anymore. No fire needs feeding. No lamp needs trimming. Everything is enough. Time moves slowly now. Minutes stretch. Hours pass gently. The house remembers many nights like this. different years, different people, the same quiet. Walls hold echoes of voices long gone, footsteps that once hurried through halls, laughter that faded into silence. All of it rests now. This night's note is no different. And that is its comfort. The Victorian house stands still beneath the dark sky, holding warmth, memory, and sleep within its walls. Night has settled, and until morning comes quietly to wake it again, nothing will change. Everything rests, everything waits. And in the deep, steady calm of winter night, the house sleeps,